Good morning. Give it a second here. Oh, let's get rid of that mess drawing from yesterday. Takes a second. Okay. So yesterday, every day's interesting, but and it's not that uncommon that you get different moves from different market indices. But yesterday was a bit like a little extreme, I guess. Tech held up really, really, really well. Right. And you can see it did gap down. We talked about the red day from last week, gapping up into the unfilled gap area. It didn't fill the gap. But after a few days up to the top of the range, gap up, sellers took control, holiday, whatever. And so yesterday was kind of a pretty much of a go nowhere day. Here, things just chopped around. And look at the spiders, and they went down a bit. Same story. They didn't get up into the unfilled gap area that day. And so a little bit of down day, broke the low. Remember pre-market, they were down here below the low, and then they started to rally. They were opening up here. They didn't get much higher before sellers hit it again, and that came down. But overall, it was pretty choppy. You can see the 5-minute. I usually have this as a 15-minute. And the 5-minute over here, but it was just a mess. It was just up and down, whippy mess, back and forth, back and forth. And you can see the hourly chart here, just kind of grinding its way down, and where you can see the cursor, it's gapping down here. I think it's likely to come down. Well, this isn't very good support, meaning there's, like, you can see the difference in all the congestion that's right there. That's a significant support level. One of the concepts that we talk about is price voids and strength and wide range bars. And one of the thought processes that we speak about that guides our thought process is that a wide range bar creates a void, and it's a bunch of smaller bars in a smaller time frame, and it's a power bar. However, it's the weakest link in the structure of what we're looking at. Now, that doesn't mean it'll fall apart. It just means that the next part of the thought process is that support is going to have to be created. I'm like, oh, what the hell does that mean, Greg? Well, you see on the hourly chart, this pivot, and then this pivot, and it begins to create support. Now, can it hold that pivot? So eventually it begins to come lower and lower. And at some point, it begins to form a pattern in which the pivots start to be more sideways. And I'm pointing here as if it's going to happen there. I don't know exactly where it's going to happen. But one of our rules is that about halfway of the wide range bar, give or take, a lot of times that's where it happens, in the upper half. Now, yesterday I mentioned maybe the 50 MA, it's rising, maybe it'll come down there. So, in this area, this is where I'd be looking to see if it begins to take hold, and we discussed the strength here and the weekly time frame, which still looks okay. That buyers need to step up around here and see what they're going to do. Can they get it into the gap fill? What's going to happen from here? So right now it looks like it's going to work its way a bit lower. So for whatever reason, it's holding here, as you can see. Pre-market, maybe this little congestion right there to the left. See those overlapping opens and closes? That's going to be some support. And if I drag this over and make it a little bit more clear, you see right there on the 15-minute chart, that little congestion area, that's what they're focused on right now as to where, some buying begins to shape up. So that's one of the thought processy rules in MTS, is that a cluster of opens and closes together are going to be a consolidation in a smaller time frame. And that is where we would expect buyers to attempt to hold after a big move like that. So we'll see if they can actually do it. But there you have the idea or concept of opens and closes being a base in a smaller time frame. And there's a pivot there. So it's only a 15-minute chart, but as an intraday trader, you got to look at something to the left to see if there's something there. Now, you can also see that below that is pretty much nothing. And that's the weak link part that buyers need to step up. Otherwise, if it falls all the way back down to the wide range bar, you're not going to have to be a rocket scientist to know that something's wrong. So that's what you should be looking at today to see if it holds that level, give or take what it's going to do down in that area. All right. So Qs were stronger. Now we go to the diamonds, and they were weaker. Not terribly weaker, but you can see they didn't get as far up, but they're starting to come down. Now they're below. Yesterday they were below the 50 MA. So you can see that relative weakness then below the 50 MA, and we'll see how much that comes down. It's a little further down, gapping down actually and this is wide range bar isn't as big as the other one we were looking at, but prices are down there. So getting a bit weaker. Now, as we get in toward the end of this week, if this selling continues, we're going to talking about how deep this closes into this green bar. Remember a week ago when we were discussing this, I said we were talking about the possibility of a measured move type of setup. And that's just saying, well, if certain things happen, like a green bar like this, what should happen? Well, a consolidation bar, this does pretty much that, and it just goes higher to that resistance. But if it closes deep into here, that's going to suggest lower prices. So we're not there yet. Now, the real weakness was here. And look how deep that got into the weekly bar. Now, where's it there? It's still at the bottom of that wide range bar. And what went wrong to some extent yesterday was regional banks. Here's this attempt to curl up where it was making this bottom, and hit an air pocket. And so when you got KRE weak and XBI, right, weak, KRE needs some oil stocks to save the day, but it's, if all three of them are going down, then the Russell is just don't have a chance in hell. But with these two going down, it's pretty tough for the Russell to do much of anything. So that was showing the most relative weakness there. And so let's go back here. And as the S&Ps, we're looking at the futures, minor support. It's subjective. We're going across what's directly to the left. And prices, they broke that pivot. See how they held here throughout the day? Now they're breaking it. And now it's truly a moment where you got this pivot. Will it hold this? Can it flip it back up? It may go back down. This becomes a bit more tricky because we're into this subjective reference point. And 4480, there's nothing there. You get it? See, it's a void, nothing there. Momentum, time correction, there's nothing. So this is where we need to rely on those people using Fibonacci lines, trader pivot lines, VWAPs, all the mystery indicators that find the hidden support and resistance that lurks in the middle of nowhere, right? The imaginary lines that are there. So what we'll do is wait to see, does it create a pivot? Once it creates a pivot, we'll look for a retest, and that'll tell us that prices are beginning to stabilize in some area. And that's yet to develop. Right? So right now, things are inching down. Qs holding up marvelously, holding all those pivots, just whippy and erratic, nowhere near into the green bar. So that looks fantastic. It's just hanging there doing nothing. That's a problem. Over there, the weekly, this is coming down more. So this has some pivots down here, little cluster of pivot lows. So as the Dow comes down here, this could be one to watch to see if it begins to take hold, because it's the weaker and it's getting down to the support point faster than the others. So the weakest may start to become the one that starts to show relative strength. That's something to watch for. Interest rates, flattish, down a little bit, not helping, not hurting. And 30-year, doing nothing there. The up a little bit, meaningless. VIX, we covered, is down at the bottom of the range. So a little bit of bearishness there. Bitcoin, just hanging on the edge of the cliff. And what is Robert asking me? So there is some value from those people using those indicators. Well, yeah, I mean, we all serve a purpose. I'm not saying that the people are bad. I'm saying they're misleaded. Right? They're misguided. If they understood a better way without using indicators, I'm sure they'd be a lot less confused. But look, everybody buys for some reason. The thing, so when they buy there, if it works, they think that this magic thing they put on their chart is doing something for them, helping them. So it's another conversation, but they love to sell their magic. And those that sell magic always have new magic. All right. Crude oil. I mean, there's the inflation monster. Strength and is ripped. It's probably going to rest here a little bit. If you look at airlines, we spoke about that last week, how they came down as this began to bottom. And gold trading range, big mess, back and forth, back and forth. And where's silver? I'll move things around here. There we go. Whoa, that's coming down kind of hard, but all right, little breakout failure. So it looks like the markets need to come down a little bit more. This breadth internal is here at 0. And sometimes that's where it holds. We'll see. Maybe today things begin to hold up. We'll see. This is the positive, that sentiment is still deep into this bullish area there. So little downside action. We'll see how far it goes. And that's it. Don't forget, come to MT Live today with Dan and I. All yours, Dan. Good morning. Let's
Let's start.
Sorry, Dan, hold on. That's I was SPX. It's set here. Here. 45.15. And since this is going down, but it's kind of tight, unlikely unless some news comes out that rips things lower. 44.45. There you go. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, diamonds. We actually had a call spread in the weekend letter, and I don't think it got filled at the credit. But yeah, that would have nice setup for the turn there. Let's start with a beautiful winner we have. Roku bottom right. We've been in this. We've been in this for a core long. Daily, weekly, monthly are all in beautiful alignment. This made a multi-week turn. We had this bottoming tail, which was actually Friday. That's a beautiful continuation pattern. Some people in the green room, your screen's not showing. Okay. All right, sorry. And we had some people in the green room. All right, it says my screen is loading. Usually never taken this long. All right, well, anyway, look at Roku. Why it's loading. Roku daily, weekly, monthly was just beautiful. We told people even if they weren't in it, you could add yesterday. Now we're getting a beautiful gap up. Greg, I don't know why this isn't loading.
Oh, I don't know either.
Stop sharing, trying again.
Something
It
just happened.
says this will stop yours, but I thought you already were off. Yeah, why it's not working? So why don't you stop screen share first? Because I'm unable to take over yours today for some reason.
Something happened in Zoom. Hold on.
But anyway, we're talking about Roku. It has a big old gap up. If it's yeah, I still see Greg's because I got two applications up so I can see what's being shown. So, we have this dilemma sometimes on core longs that we intend to be in it for a while because the weekly monthlies look fantastic. And we get a big old short-term move today. It
See if
happening.
you can do it now.
And I'm still seeing yours, so you didn't exit, but trying. No, it still says your screen is loading. Did you take yours down so it's a blank screen?
Yes.
Huh, okay, see, okay, now I see it. Wow. All right, sorry about that, you all. Zoom does weird things. Yeah, bro. So, all right, let's kind of gotta pick up some time here. So beautiful daily, weekly, monthly. We're in it as a core, beautiful gap up. I was starting to say is you got a dilemma. I mean, if it's a swing trade, I'd be hitting the bid so fast. I'd be out of the path pre-market, if not all. But if it's a core trade and you want a bigger target, what are you going to do? Well, you sell half, you look to add, you do nothing, you raise a stop, you take half, exactly. Or we can, sell calls against it, like at the money calls, which I guarantee with the gap up, even for 2 days, they're going to be pretty darn big. And then that acts as a partial hedge. But, we'll make a decision at the open. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to do something to protect this big old gap. Let's see, John Williams on YouTube asking about Tesla relative strength. Yeah, it's a 180, but it's at the top, so it needs to go sideways a little bit. There's nothing to do right now, particularly with the market coming in still. Talking about relative strength, though, I like same concept, John, but I like Microsoft better because it negated all this and it's a closing breakout. And it, I was saying a lot yesterday that we don't have the market oomph on our side, and so this was not a compelling enough pattern, but we need the market oomph. And then if so, it could go to 340, 345. So that one's on my watch list. FI short. Not bad, but it's not obvious where you want to enter. I would say half lot Friday's low, half lot Thursday's low. Raoul Marvel short. I like this one better because it's a simpler entry, simpler stop, fluid move. It's gapping down, rallying to resistance. But yeah, that looks great for a sell setup. And finally, PNC short below yesterday's low. It's okay. I don't like it as much because this is kind of more strength coming up. But watch 30-minute low. Well, Robert, good question. Is Roku a moving train? The answer, if you're trading the daily and weekly chart, no. I mean, this was a new setup. So, okay, if you're saying the gap is the runaway train, then that's really not today's session because we're talking more about like fluid moves that have left the station. A big old gap is I need a new setup. But to a lesser extent, yes, using the intraday pattern of if you were using our gap strategies to get on board a big gap, we're just going to look for continuation patterns on a smaller time frame. So in that sense, yes. All right, gappers here. We only gave one trade to our subscribers. We shorted the 39 $3 wide put spread. So we're just gonna let that expire at full profit on Friday. Nice little gap up here. Asian, some of us, Sam, I am. We did the 18.5 naked puts. So even though this is gapping against us, it's still $2 out of the money. We're gonna have a beautiful open gain at the open. Greg, I don't know if you noticed, you're a host and panelist. I guess
What then?
you got to change your drop down. I just noticed.
Oh, okay.
All right, big C, closing breakout. That's a long idea into the void. All right, let me get through earnings here first, though. There's not that many of them. HQY. Gapping, it's just trading range, nothing to do there. Zulu Sierra, 159. I think Sam IAM did a short straddle on this into earnings, so that's going to pay off for him nicely. Then in trading range, top of the range, bottom of the range, we can maybe consider call or put spread. Let's gapping down a little bit. No pattern. Plab, that's a 10%. Wow, that's a big gap. Did you call someone a big C? Yeah. Yeah, big C over the hump. Express. This is a retailer. Could it be a day trade? Whenever you see 4 decimal places here, though, that typically means it's an over-the-counter stock, which is kind of the wild, wild west. They're not regulated by the same regulators as NASDAQ and the S&P. But that could give a day trade, but it's just not mine wheelhouse. Gapping up here, big gap, strong uptrend is excessive to me. Death trend here, gapping down. It looks like it's just going lower. Perk, same garbage. No interest. All right, there's big C. Pen. It's bearish daily, weekly, monthly, but Pen and LVS are on our short watch list. But I just need it to go sideways a little bit more. On because it's on support, there's no entry right here. Axon. This was one we talked about in the green room. It's bullish daily, weekly, monthly, but it's far from the 20. I want it to go sideways for a couple of days. NXGN. I don't know the news on this, but when I see big gaps and they go just sideways pre-market, that could be a buyout. If it's not a buyout, then that could be a gap and crap. Short 30-minute low and also out of the money call spreads. So, you know, but we got to check and see if that's a buyout or not. Chewy. Why am I looking at Chewy? I don't know, but look at that death trend. ENB. This was a nice sell setup. Had it open flat. Yeah, kind of a 3-bar turn here, bull sandwich. Nice fluid move up, but that's a big old gap down. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, it just had the footprint of it. All right, Charlie, India, we're short a half lot and call spread, but this is a bear 1, 2, 3, 4. So under these lows, you can add. We have long calls on Square. My low alarm went off, so I don't know why. I don't know what's up with that today. Hey, my Charlie India alarm. I had an alarm there at 277, so a small gap down. But nothing to do now. Meta, yeah, Meta. I don't know. I personally would not be adding, but we have this conversation all the time. It's because of the horseman. We got bearish gaps here. I mean, I'm looking at my 15 hourly charts. Hourly charts could go into free fall here. So no longs for me. But that's me. That GitLab working well. But you know, but so I to me it would be more like a 30-minute high on this, provided the market was, you know, bullish or at least neutral. All right, upstart. I had enough alarm. Bottoming pattern here. Upstart. Oh, Roku. I can look at our Roku calls. And also TOST, TOST, middle chart. Notice how that's going, but let's